here the question arises that what actually this Bloom's taxonomy is, and what are the different domains in which we actually need to study this. But before I start with this, let me introduce myself. My name is Seema Tabassum Syed Mushtaq. Okay, let's talk about the introduction to Bloom's taxonomy. Actually, Bloom's taxonomy, this was, you know, originally created by Benjamin Bloom in 1956. And later onwards, he revised in 2001. Okay, now what actually this Bloom's taxonomy is, what Bloom has done, this taxonomy basically attempts to classify learning stages from remembering facts to creating new ideas based on the acquired knowledge. Hey, that's what learning is, right? So the idea of Bloom's taxonomy is that learning is a consecutive process, step by step process. So before applying any of the concept in a real life, there are certain things which are needed to be done, which are needed to be, taken care of. So Bloom categorized and classified all the cognitive domain of learning into varying levels according to complexity and richness. Now, what could be those levels? Come on, let us see those levels. Okay, so here Bloom's taxonomy attempts to classify learning stages, right from remembering facts to creating new ideas based on the acquired knowledge. Now, what does this mean? Of course, whenever a scientist discovers or invents something very much new, he actually goes through the existing knowledge. He first of all tries to remember the existing knowledge, he tries to understand it, he tries to apply, analyze, evaluate, and then finally he attempts to create. Means there are certain levels, and step by step we can reach the highest level, and that is called as creation. So that's what Bloom's taxonomy is actually telling us here. So this was actually described in the form of a framework, but it is now often depicted as a pyramid. So let us see this pyramid. Oh, so this is the pyramid, and you can see the different levels of Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so the very first level of Bloom's taxonomy is knowledge. Hey, how much knowledge do you have? That is actually going to determine your understanding level, right? So once you have the knowledge, you need to comprehend it, you need to understand it, and then only you're able to apply that particular knowledge. Okay, if you've applied that knowledge, there also you need to analyze. You need to find out differences, and then ultimately you reach to a level where you can create something, and whatever you have created, that is needed to be evaluated. But later onwards, in 2001, the educationists felt that Bloom's taxonomy must be revised. So let us see why and how it is revised. Okay, so we have already seen in this slide that in this particular pyramid, all the levels, they're actually in the form of nouns. In 2001, it was realized that learning is only possible by doing. Without doing, learning is not possible, and therefore all the noun forms, they were transformed into verbs. And not only this, but the pinnacle levels, they were swapped, right? That is, synthesis was put at the end and evaluation was put before. That is, they were swapped. Okay, now let us see how the swapping happened. You can see your two pyramids. One is in 1956 given by Bloom, and the other one is in 2001, which was revised pyramid given by Bloom's taxonomy. So here you can see that all the levels are in the noun forms, that is knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. But in the year 2001, all these noun forms were transformed into verb. That is remember, understand, apply, analyze, and not only this, we knew very well that in 1956 pyramid, evaluation was at the pinnacle of this pyramid. But now, here we in 2001, the position of evaluation and creation was swapped. Okay, so first we have to evaluate and then we have to create. Okay, so let us see what actually is happening here. So this is Bloom's taxonomy, right? So the lowest or the basic level of this Bloom's taxonomy is remember. Now what actually this remember is, this is actually a stage of learning. Learning what? Memorizing such as like basic facts, definitions, principles, theorems, right? Okay, that is what they're in the first level. Means whenever the child begins to study something, the very first thing he has to do is he has to remember whatever he has done, right? Then what comes? Understanding. Okay, what comes here? Understanding. Come on, whatever concept he has memorized, of course he cannot retain that concept in his mind unless and until he understands it, right? So definitely he need to understand the concept. What is the meaning of that concept, right? If he understands, then only he is going to remember that particular concept throughout his life. Otherwise, simply by rote method, one cannot do anything, right? Now the concept is completely understood. Now after understanding the concept, the third level comes as, that is apply. Okay, so what is there in the third level? What is there? See, now whatever information is collected, understood, right, that now has to be applied in the real life situations, such as like if you're talking about photosynthesis. Now the child has learned the definition of photosynthesis and he has very well understood what are the things required for photosynthesis, right? Now next time if the child is visiting in a garden, he should be able to say that in the plant where the photosynthesis can actually take place, right? That's what is application, right? Then the next level is analyze. Okay, now what actually this analyzes? Hey, analyzing is something, that is whatever information has come to you, whatever. Now what you need to do, you need to break down that complex information or process, and you need to understand the various components which are present in it and then try to find out the relationship between that, right? So it's like we were talking about photosynthesis. So they have learned the definition, they have understood also, they are even capable of applying it. Now they need to know what are the things which are needed for photosynthesis. Chlorophyll pigment is there, sunlight is there, water is there, minerals are there, right? So these are what? These are the components which are needed. Now they should relate these components. It's like if somebody says that okay, there's no chlorophyll found in a